Chapter 80, Xiao Wu finally has the million-year soul ring, 4th update, please vote for me. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A phased gift package. Zhou Yi's eyes lit up. He suddenly realized he was the father of 5. Let's see what's inside. Zhou Yi couldn't wait to see the rewards. Reward 1, a bottle of transformation pills, 10 pills. Reward 2, a million-year soul ring. Reward 3, a golden jade tea tree. Whoa! This system is living up to its reputation. The rewards are incredible. Getting this big of a gift is unreal. Zhou Yi's eyes widened in shock. In the Douluo continent, plenty of soul beasts are over 100,000 years old, but transforming is tough, and they have to start over. For them, transformation pills are like a holy grail. 10 transformation pills could take down 10 soul beasts that are over 100,000 years old. The million-year soul ring is even more awesome. The golden jade tea tree is a spiritual tea tree, as good as the sacred trees of the Douluo god realm. It purifies your true energy, adding a touch of golden energy, making it sharper, though it doesn't increase the overall amount. Plus, a spiritual tea tree is a gift that keeps on giving, like a family heirloom that lasts forever. Future generations would benefit immensely. Zhou Yi receiving a million-year soul ring meant it was perfect for his level 100 soul ring. With his martial god status, he could keep training without becoming a god. After that, he could add another soul ring every 10 levels. The million-year soul ring only has 1 soul skill and won't improve Zhou Yi's cultivation, but this soul skill is powerful, allowing Zhou Yi to reach perfection, making it worthy to be passed down as a martial skill. This soul skill is the heaven-slaying sword art, and Zhou Yi also unlocked the heaven-slaying sword intent from the heaven-slaying sword drawing technique. This sword intent is on par with the heaven-opening sword intent Zhou Yi had fused before. They have some similarities, complementing each other. Now, Zhou Yi had a strong urge to draw his sword and strike down the heavens, ready for anything, with deadly intent. Now, forget everything else. At least, a 3rd-level god couldn't stop him from drawing his sword. Zhou Yi checked his stats. Host, Zhou Yi, age, 23. Cultivation, priest, level 100. Title, God of War, Wuhuan. Dragon sword, Kung Fu. Sacred heart technique, perfection, water, fire, and golden bell, 13 levels of perfection. Soul skills, shadow clone, 100,000 years, teleportation, 100,000 years, gravity field, 4,000 years, roar of tigers and roar of dragons, 15,000 years, dark demon evil thunder, 65,000 years, earth and emperor slaying, 90,000 years, the true form of the divine dragon, 90,000 years, the 1,000 barriers, 95,000 years, 10,000 swords returning to the clan, 100,000 years, the art of cutting the sky and drawing the sword, 1,000,000 years, skills, 1 sword to open the gate of heaven, perfect, grandmaster medical skills, perfect, 1 finger of Ling Shi, perfect, intentional immortal steps, perfect, heavenly palace phantom success, 1862/5000, shocking tribulation, 11111, Lingbo Weibu Xiaocheng, 456/5000, martial ancestor Chongquan, perfection, introduction to Kiwuju realm, 0/10,000, soul bone, external soul bone, wind and thunder wings, 100,000-year-old right leg bone, power of the earth, magical power to control earth, special, wheel turning. Technique, backpack, beauty pill, transformation pill, Qianquan ring, eternal heart, for absolutes of the sacred heart, for tribulations of the sacred heart, Nahai sacred heart mantra, 9 Yin manual, Lingshuang sword, 1 yang finger, golden jade tea tree, Ming jade divine power, experience value, 7220. Man, it's lonely at the top. Looking at his impressive stats, Zhou Yi could only think of one thing, unstoppable. In a great mood, Zhou Yi wanted to share his happiness. As soon as he stepped outside, he saw Ah-in. Zhou Yi's eyes lit up. He quietly snuck up behind her and swept her off her feet. Ah-in exclaimed softly, not too worried. She knew it had to be him. Honey, what are you doing? You, Zhou Yi chuckled, kissed her on the cheek, leaned in close to her ear, and whispered, I'm starving. that he glanced at Ah Yin's chest. You rascal, that Ah Yin blushed and playfully rolled her eyes. You're gonna steal Yue Ying's rations again. You know me too well. Zhouyi laughed and carried Ah Yin toward the bedroom. Teasing Ah Yin was always easy. He occasionally thought of Xiao Haozi. The next few days, Zhouyi didn't just steal Yue Ying's rations, but also Yulong's, Yufeng's, Xiaoqing's, and Xiaobai's. As he always said, he had to spread the love. This made Zhou Yi happy. One day, Zhou Yi was relaxing when Xiao Wu slid down from the window. She snuggled close and said, why am I not pregnant yet? Don't worry. I've checked you out. You're fine. It's just a matter of time. Zhou Yi checked Xiao Wu's pulse again. That he frowned. What's wrong? That Xiao Wu was worried. Was there something wrong with her? Brother don't scare me. Xiao Wu, I have big news. Don't freak out, Zhou Yi said seriously. Brother tell me, that Xiao Wu's heart raced. Was she really unable to have children? You're pregnant. Zhouyi picked up Xiao Wu, kissed her hard, and said with a smile, you finally got pregnant. Really? Xiao Wu was stunned. Did she really? Was she carrying Zhou Yi's child? She was caught off guard. Yes. I finally got pregnant. Xiao Wu was thrilled. She had been with Zhou Yi for a while. She had watched Erlong, Ayan, Li Shishir, and Li Baishir all give birth. She was starting to worry. Now it was finally her turn. I want to tell Mom, Xiao Wu said, and Deming and Ming. Deming. Ming. Did she have to rub it in? Okay. I'll take you back tomorrow. Zhou Yi agreed. Brother you're the best. After spending some time with Xiao Wu, Zhou Yi went to Bibi Dong's room. He never got tired of teasing her. He wanted to get her pregnant as soon as possible. The next day, Zhou Yi took Xiao Wu to the valley deep in the Star Doe forest. Xiao Wu. You're back. Seeing Xiao Wu, Yan Rou smiled. Mom, Xiao Wu was excited. She ran into Yan Rou's arms and snuggled. It was good to be home. What's wrong? After patting Xiao Wu's head, Yan Rou wondered if something had happened. Had she been bullied? It had to be that bad guy, Zhou Yi. If he dared to bully Xiao Wu, she'd give him a piece of her mind. Mom, I have good news. Xiao Wu hugged her arm and said, Mom, I'm pregnant. What? You're pregnant? Yan Rou wasn't surprised. Xiao Wu had been with Zhou Yi for over half a year. As for herself, Zhou Yi liked Nei Na's every time, but she made sure to prevent it every time. She didn't want to have Zhou Yi's child. After Yan Rou and Xiao Wu talked, Xiao Wu stood up and said, Mom, I'm going to see Deming and Ming. Yan Rou. Was that really good news for them? Yan Rou didn't stop her. Xiao Wu told Zhou Yi she was going to the Lake of Life. As soon as Xiao Wu left, Zhou Yi appeared in the room, hugged Yan Rou, and whispered in her ear, Did you miss me? Like you wouldn't believe it. Yan Rou rolled her eyes. Zhou Yi chuckled. Let Yan Rou turn around and lie down on the table, and Xiao Wu arrived at Deming and Ming's residence. Xiao Wu. Ming was excited to see Xiao Wu, and he ran over quickly. The earth shook. Hua hua hua. Deming emerged from the lake. Xiao Wu, did that boy Zhou Yi bully you? Ming didn't like Zhou Yi. It looked forward to Xiao Wu's return. It didn't mind that Xiao Wu had been given to Zhou Yi. Don't talk nonsense. Brother Yi is good to me. Xiao Wu scolded Ming. Ming felt sad and lowered his head, but Xiao Wu was happy. Deming, the azure bull python, also came closer. Xiao Wu touched her belly, her cheeks glowing, and she said, Deming and Ming, I have good news. I'm pregnant. I'm carrying Brother Yi's child. P.S. Xiao Wu, do you have tickets? Everyone should get some rest after watching. Xiao Zhu will add more updates tomorrow. Chapter 81. The super bodyguard thugs are in place to take Xiao Wu's mother home. Please vote. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I'm pregnant with Yi's child. Xiao Wu's joyful announcement echoed in my head, refusing to fade. Deming and Ming felt like their hearts shattered, yet they couldn't register any pain. Their minds were completely blank. except for the endless repetition of those words. I'm pregnant with Yi's child, pregnant with Yi's child, pregnant. The two soul beasts froze, paralyzed like they'd been hit with a binding spell. Deming, Ming, what's wrong? Xiao Wu looked at them, puzzled. Aren't you happy? Happy? Deming snapped out of it, tears welling in his eyes as he offered congratulations. Xiao Wu, congratulations. You're going to be a mom. Thanks, Deming. Yeah, Xiao Wu, congrats. Ming choked down his sadness, his voice booming like a bell. Thanks, Ming. Okay, I gotta get back. Xiao Wu chatted with them for a bit before turning to leave. Knowing Xiao Wu was pregnant, Deming and Ming insisted on escorting her back. Back at the valley cabin, Yan Rou stood by the window, her white jade hands gripping the sill tightly, her blurred gaze fixed on the path outside. That was the only way into the valley. If Xiao Wu returned, she'd know immediately. Zhou Yi wasn't concerned. With his current power, he'd sense Xiao Wu's presence the moment she got close. No matter where she came from, there was no way he'd mess this up. Mom, I'm back. Soon enough, Xiao Wu's voice rang out, and she came bounding into the valley, followed by Deming and Ming. Ah, Xiao Wu's back. Yan Rou's heart leaped, and she cried out in a panic, get out, quick, ah. Mom, what's wrong? Hearing Yan Rou's scream, Xiao Wu grew anxious and rushed inside. Rabbits are fast, after all, and this was 100,000-year soul beast rabbit, bang, The door flew open as Xiao Wu burst in. Deming and Ming trailed behind, but they were too big to fit inside. They could only watch from the doorway. Inside, Yan Rou lay on the bed, her cheeks flushed and hot. Zhou Yi sat beside her, fully clothed, treating her seriously with silver needles. Xiao Wu, you're back. Zhou Yi turned and gave her a slight smile. What's wrong with Mom? Xiao Wu hurried to the bedside, concern etched on her face. Nothing serious, just a fever, Zhou Yi reassured her, pulling out a silver needle. I've treated her with acupuncture. She'll be fine soon. Thank you. Xiao Wu looked touched, then added worriedly, I've noticed Mom's been getting fevers a lot lately. I don't know what's wrong. Xiao Wu, don't worry. Zhou Yi smiled. I've given her a thorough checkup, and there's nothing wrong. It's spring, so it might just be a seasonal cold or flu. It's nothing to worry about. That's good. Xiao Wu finally relaxed. She trusted Zhou Yi's medical skills implicitly, it's just that her mother was a 100,000-year soul beast. Even though she'd taken human form, she was still at the title Douluo level. She didn't expect her to get sick so easily. Hearing Zhou Yi's diagnosis, Yan Rou wanted to slap him silly. Seasonal colds and flus in spring, give me a break, . Mom, you haven't been feeling well lately. Why don't you come back and live with me for a while? Xiao Wu suggested, taking Yan Rou's hand. You're pregnant. I'll come stay with you for a bit. Yan Rou thought for a moment and agreed, mainly so she could take care of Xiao Wu. After all, Xiao Wu had no experience with pregnancy. Yay, that's great. Xiao Wu was thrilled. She'd wanted Yan Rou to live with her at the Zhou mansion before, but Yan Rou preferred the peace and quiet and had refused. Xiao Wu, I still have 2 transformation pills here. You can give them to Deming and Ming. Zhou Yi pulled out 2 pills and handed them to Xiao Wu. These were 2 potential henchmen. Zhou Yi wasn't going to be stingy. Marry your goddess and get free bodyguards and caretakers. Score, star. This. Xiao Wu was deeply touched, but this was too generous. They're just 2 transformation pills. They're useless to me. Deming and Ming are your friends, which makes them my friends too. Zhouyi ruffled her hair and smiled. Thank you. Xiao Wu's eyes welled with emotion. Then, she went to find Deming and Ming with the transformation pills. When they learned what the pills did, they were ecstatic. Soul beasts can't become gods directly. They can only transform into humans and then cultivate to become gods. But when they become human, their cultivation is gone. They have to start over. That's incredibly difficult. How many soul beasts would give up their 100,000 years of cultivation? Knowing that the pills belonged to Zhou Yi, Deming and Erming hesitated. Finally, Deming took the pill first as a gesture of gratitude toward Zhou Yi, and the reason they were trying to ingratiate themselves with Zhou Yi wasn't to become gods, but to become human so they could stay with Xiao Wu and protect her. Zhou Yi had long understood the personalities of these two soul beasts, that's why he didn't have to ask anything of them. They'd proactively offer themselves up as bodyguards. That's the power of simping. The next day, Deming and Erming successfully transformed. Deming appeared as a middle-aged man with long green hair cascading over his broad, sturdy shoulders. His eyes were also blue, and their calm gaze held an indescribable depth. It was clear he was barely containing a powerful aura within. Erming transformed into an extremely imposing middle-aged man with short, bristly hair like steel needles. His face was chiseled and strong, but his brown eyes held a glint of golden light. A gray robe couldn't completely hide his bulging muscles. They looked like bodyguards. Zhou Yi looked at them and nodded to himself. Without delay, Zhou Yi took Xiao Wu and Yen Rou home. Deming and Erming followed silently like a pair of hulking security guards. Back at the Zhou mansion, Yen Rou went to the backyard to take care of Xiao Wu, and Zhou Yi summoned Deming and Erming to cast the Heavenly Palace Phantom without a word. The two were shocked and tried to resist, but they were completely powerless. After all, Zhou Yi was now at the terrifying level 100. His cultivation far surpassed theirs, not to mention his combat skills. In the spiritual illusion, Zhou Yi taught Deming and Erming the 12 levels of the Golden Bell cover. Their true forms were the 100,000-year soul beasts Azure Bull Python and Titan Giant Ape, which made them perfect for cultivating the Golden Bell shield after their transformation, and with their current cultivation, they should be able to master it quickly. 10 years passed in the mind realm. Both of them completed all 12 levels of the Golden Bell. The power of this magical skill deeply shocked the two soul beasts, who had never seen anything like it. When they awoke, Deming, the Azure Bull Python, and Erming, the Titan Giant Ape, looked at Zhou Yi with trembling hearts. Then, they exchanged a glance, seemingly making a decision. They knelt down and bowed suddenly, like a mountain of gold and a jade pillar toppling over. "Thank you, martial god, for your gifts. We swear, we'll go through fire and water for you, even to our deaths." At that moment, they were completely won over, utterly conquered. In the past, they had objected to Xiao Wu being with Zhou Yi because he was human. Even when Zhou Yi defeated them, they were still unwilling, but Zhou Yi not only disregarded their previous animosity but also gave them precious transformation pills and now taught them peerless magical skills. Such a generous spirit put them to shame. Xiao Wu really did choose the right person. Chapter 82 Marry Elder Lingyuan. Chihiroji, impossible. Absolutely impossible. Please vote. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Bang. 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 In the Yuanyuan martial arts arena, two hulking figures faced off, punch for punch. They traded blows with brutal force. Each strike landed with a meaty thud. Deming and Erming, naturally, were practicing their Golden Bell shield technique. It's a painful process. The core of the training is resisting attacks. The harder you get hit, the faster you improve. Deming. Erming. You guys are beasts. Zhao Wuji watched their training, green with envy. Zhouyi had taught him the Golden Bell shield too, but his foundation was too weak. Sure, he had a decent background, the powerful Vajra Bear martial soul and a strong physique, but it paled in comparison to Deming and Erming, who were essentially 100,000-year soul beasts in human form. He'd only reached the 3rd level of the Golden Bell shield. The first 5 levels were pretty basic anyway. Deming and Erming had started later but were already at the 6th level. Gotta push myself. Zhao Wuji roared at Flanders, who was whacking him with an iron rod. Hit me harder. Harder. You swing like a kitten. Bang. Ugh. Yeah. That's the stuff. Harder. Zhao Wuji bellowed. Flanders obliged, slamming the iron rod against Zhao Wuji's solid frame. Where did the teacher find these monsters? Never heard of them before. Chen Xian, practicing his swordsmanship nearby, stole a glance at Deming and Erming. A seed of doubt planted in his mind. he knew their strength firsthand. They sparred often, and it always ended in a stalemate, short of a life-or-death brawl. I need to step it up, Qian Xin seethed inwardly. He wasn't Zhou Yi's first student, but Yu Xiaojiang was a joke. He was supposed to be the teacher's top disciple, the benchmark for everyone else. He couldn't let these newcomers surpass him. It would be humiliating. Even though De Ming and Ming weren't formally Zhou Yi's disciples, they were basically in the same boat, and it wasn't just them. Zhang Long, Xiao Wu, Chao Chao, Ma Han, and the others were also pushing themselves. We may be just ordinary folks, unable to cultivate soul power before, but now we've got the teacher's guidance. We can't fall behind. We were the first ones to follow him. Damn right. Upstairs, Zhou Yi sat holding the beautiful Donger, watching the disciples training like maniacs below, and smiled with satisfaction. Once my martial arts sect is established, it'll be the biggest thing on the continent, dwarfing everyone else. Bibi Dong's eyes sparkled with admiration. Groups like the Haotian sect and the Spirit Hall had generations to build their empires, but Zhou Yi was only 23, and already his strength rivaled the best. Wuzhong might not officially exist yet, but its foundations were being built. Beautiful day, beautiful view, Zhou Yi said, letting his gaze drift downwards. Yes, the sun is shining, the sky is clear, oh. Bibi Dong realized Zhou Yi's hands were getting a little too friendly. She glanced down, following his gaze. Let's just say she couldn't see her toes anymore. A world-class beauty. Stop it. A blush crept up Bibi Dong's cheeks. Zhou Yi was already 8 times. Sheesh. Ugh. Ha. Hum. Downstairs, Xiao Wuji and the others grunted and groaned, enduring the torturous Golden Bell Shield training, sweating buckets and pushing their limits. Their teacher, Zhou Yi, wasn't about to be outdone. He had to work hard too, keeping that youthful energy flowing. An hour later, Zhou Yi carried the limp Donger back to the room. You're such a dog, always taking advantage. Bibi Dong gave Zhou Yi a withering glare, her eyes glazed over. If anyone could see her now, so social, unbelievable, why hadn't she realized how bad he was, how many tricks he had up his sleeve? It was too much to handle. That's because you're so beautiful, Donger. I can't help myself. You're irresistible. Zhou Yi didn't hold back the sweet talk, planting a kiss on her cheek, coaxing the frustrated Bibi Dong into a good mood. She felt like she would die for Zhou Yi. Donger, I'm going to propose marriage to Spirit Hall, for Lingyuan. Zhou Yi whispered into her ear. Lingyuan. Bibi Dong paused, then her eyes widened. You mean Elder Lingyuan? Yeah. Zhou Yi nodded and explained what had happened in Sunset Forest. Bibi Dong wasn't about to object. After all, she was already the sixth person he'd brought through the door. Of course, Zhou Yi also spoke to Lu Erlong and Ayin. The next day, Zhou Yi headed for Spirit Hall City, a holy land for soul masters. Spirit Hall City wasn't that big, not even a tenth the size of Qiandaoliu City, but still, it impressed soul masters. Small, but the city walls were built to the standards of a major city. 80 meters tall, the walls looked majestic, 30 meters thick, constructed entirely of granite. Most peculiar of all, Spirit Hall City wasn't a square, but a hexagon, with 6 walls. All the guards were soul masters, wearing the unique uniforms of Spirit Hall. On each of the 6 walls was a massive relief, identical to the symbols on the Spirit Hall tokens, representing the 6 powerful martial souls. Spirit Hall City was built around a hill. On that hill stood 2 eye-catching structures. Halfway up the mountain, the Papal Palace dominated. A columnar building with a dome. Its exterior was covered in gold, shining in the sunlight. Zhou Yi appeared outside the Pope's palace and called out. Zhou Yi is here to see the Pope. Boom. Zhou Yi's voice echoed. The Pope's palace buzzed with activity. The Elders' Hall was inside the Pope's palace. Soon, Qian Xunji emerged with Yu Guan, Gui Mei, Snake Spear, Lingyuan, Demon Bear, and other Spirit Hall elders. War God Douluo, welcome. A true honor. Qian Xunji wasn't happy about Zhou Yi's uninvited visit. But he managed to smile. Please, come in. Zhou Yi followed Qian Xunji into the Pope's palace. The maid brought tea, after some small talk, Qian Xunji asked. What brings the war god here? Zhou Yi sipped his tea, looked at Qian Xunji, and said. To be honest, I'm here to propose marriage. Wow. Zhou Yi's words sent the elders, like Qian Xunji, Yu Guan, and Gue Mei, into an uproar. Didn't he just marry Bibi Dong, their spirit hall saint? Was he already tired of her? Was he coming to propose again? Did he think spirit hall was his playground? Qian Xunji frowned. Is there a soul master from my spirit hall who has caught the martial god's eye? Though male soul masters outnumbered females, spirit hall had the largest number of soul masters on the continent, so there were naturally many female soul masters, available at all levels, but Qian Xunji couldn't think of anyone suitable. Zhouyi glanced at the cold, alluring Lingyuan Douluo, smiled slightly, and said. Elder Lingyuan. Impossible. Qian Xunji was stunned, then slammed his hand on the table and said. Absolutely impossible. Chapter 83 Qian Xunji vomits blood. The thief Zhou Yi has tricked me. Ask for monthly ticket. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lingyuan, huh? Yu Guan and Gue Mei exchanged glances, then looked over at Lingyuan Douluo, who was standing silently to the side. Their eyes were definitely saying something. Who would have thought Zhou Yi would marry an elder from the spirit hall? And get this, even though Lingyuan Douluo looks young, she's actually older. I mean, this is Douluo continent, where everyone seems to grow up fast. Let's just say, she's way too old for Zhou Yi. Hey, haven't seen her in a few days. Doesn't Lingyuan seem younger and hotter? No wonder the god of war is smitten. Yu Guan winked, speaking to Gue Mei telepathically. Seriously, Lingyuan does look like she's had some work done. Gue Mei looked at Lingyuan, surprised, and nodded in agreement. Think this thing's for real? Yu Guan asked, all gossipy. Has to be. Looks like Lingyuan's already got something going on with the god of war. If she's into it, there's no way the Pope can stop Zhou Yi from marrying her. It would just make things awkward for everyone involved. Gue Mei didn't see any shock on Lingyuan's face, and even noticed a rare blush on her usually cold cheeks. She knew this deal was done. After all, even the head honcho was no match for Zhou Yi. Qian Xunji couldn't stop it. Period. Why would the Pope be worried? Zhou Yi stayed put. He picked up his teacup, took a sip, and said calmly, a faint smile playing on his lips. Lingyuan's elegant, unconventional, and a total knockout. We had an instant connection. If the Pope came all this way, he wouldn't want to waste my time, would he? He then pulled a manual from his robes, placed it on the table, and slid it over to Qian Xunji. Never show up empty-handed, it's a rule he lives by. This time was no exception. He presented a manual for the first 5 levels of the Golden Bell. The Golden Bell is powerful, but why does it seem like the most ordinary thing in the world? Because the first 5 levels are a dime a dozen. Anyone with a bit of know-how can get their hands on them, plus, they're tough to learn, and the power boost isn't all that much better than other body-strengthening techniques. That's why a lot of people look down on the Golden Bell. Over time, Zhouyi planned to release the first 5 levels to lure in talent. The first 5 levels might not be much, but anyone who masters them has potential. They've got talent and grit. And after they get to the 5th level, if they want to learn the rest, they've got to join the Wuzong. This way, the Wuzong will get a steady stream of new blood, and right now, you can find those first 5 levels all over the continent. I'm talking bargain bin stuff. So, giving Qian Xunji the 5-level Golden Bell might seem like a big deal, but really, it's gonna be worthless before you know it. Too bad Qian Xunji has no clue. When he saw Golden Bell on the cover, he was stunned. Disbelief written all over his face. This is Zhouyi's ace in the hole. He's offering it as a dowry. No way. Even if Lingyuan's a title Douluo, it's just not gonna happen. Could it be a fake? This is just volume 1 of the Golden Bell cover, with the first 5 levels. Should be enough as a betrothal gift, right? Zhouyi said casually. Qian Xunji's doubts instantly vanished. So, it's only the first 5 levels, not the complete deal, but he understood that Zhouyi was never gonna hand over the whole Golden Bell anyway. He glanced at Lingyuan. Her cheeks were flushed, and it was obvious that she'd been seeing Zhou Yi for a while. There was nothing he could do to stop it. It would just make everyone look bad, plus, Zhouyi had handed over the 5-level Golden Bell. Sincerity was shining bright, there was no point in falling out with Zhou Yi over this. With that in mind, Qian Xunji's expression softened, and he said smoothly, with a kind voice. Didn't expect martial god Douluo and Lingyuan Douluo to hit it off so well. It's a joy for the continent. How could I possibly stand in the way? And with that, Zhou Yi and Lingyuan's wedding date was set for April 15th. Farewell. With business concluded, Zhou Yi didn't stick around. He said goodbye to Qian Xunji and Lingyuan and floated away. Qian Xunji was excited. He went to find his father, Qiandaoliu, with the 5-level Golden Bell cover. These days, Qiandaoliu was studying the Yang Kung Fu and practicing with a soul master. The soul power in his body could be converted into a Yang Qi, which sped things up, but that Yang Qi wasn't much stronger than soul power. It just had a Yang attribute. In other words, the biggest benefit of the Yang Gong was the faster learning. Qiandaoliu was torn. Should he practice it or not? He knew Zhou Yi had something better up his sleeve, but it's nearly impossible to get. Father. Qian Xunji came in with the 5-level Golden Bell cover and handed it over. Father, anything fishy about this? Golden Bell. Qiandaoliu glanced at the manual, confused. How did you get this? Zhou Yi brought it as a betrothal gift for Lingyuan Douluo. Saw that they were already involved with each other. Had to agree. I see. Qiandaoliu nodded and picked up the Golden Bell cover to take a look. He knew a thing or two about martial arts these days. After carefully reading it, Qiandaoliu mumbled, it seems real. Getting good at these 5 levels really strengthens the body, but there are obvious roadblocks and flaws. So, can we learn it? Qian Xunji asked, hopeful. You can learn it, but keep it on the down low. Qiandaoliu frowned and said, this is just a 5-level Golden Bell. Once a learner gets to the 5th level, they'll want to learn the rest. What do you think will happen then? They'll likely go to Zhouyi to get the rest of the manual. Qian Xunji frowned. He was so hyped earlier, he didn't think this through. Now that he does, Zhouyi gave him this incomplete Golden Bell to steal members from the Spirit Hall. Damn it, how dare he try to play me? Qian Xunji clenched his fists, furious. He was thinking bigger now. Many Spirit Hall elders are here today and they all know he got the 5 levels Golden Bell cover. Should he let them learn it, or keep it to himself? If he lets them learn it, they might want to join Zhou Yi for the rest of the manual after they get to level 5, if he doesn't, they'll think he's stingy, stuck up, and they'll distance themselves. What a mess. The more Chihiroji thought about it, the angrier he got. It was a total headache. He told Qiandaoliu his thoughts and asked. Father, what do you think? Qiandaoliu looked troubled. He was realizing a lot of things he hadn't considered before. If Zhou Yi wants to build the Wuzong, he needs top talent. Guessing he gave you the 5 levels Golden Bell cover as a start, but he'll give it to others down the line. That way, those first levels of the Golden Bell cover will be all over the place before long. It's a way to get talented people to join the Wuzong. And we can't stop him. If we can't stop him, guess we have to let it happen. Anyone who wants to learn it can do so. Damn, Qian Xunji was spitting mad. He was played. He was screwed over, and he couldn't do anything about it. Power is everything. Zhou Yi's got the muscle, so we've got no choice. If one of us could become a god, he could put Zhou Yi in his place, and we wouldn't be getting pushed around like this. Qiandaoliu sighed, full of frustration. When you're outmatched, you get manipulated, and there's nothing you can do about it. Zhouyi is scheming like no one else. Father, I know. Qian Xunji stormed off. His heart burned with anger, and he had nowhere to vent it. God, huh? Since I can't inherit the throne of the angel god, I'll just make one. If one doesn't work, I'll make 10. Someone's gotta become a god eventually. Chapter 84. It's my birthday. The god of war is about to get a wife again. Ask for monthly ticket. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lingyuan Pavilion. This was home to Lingyuan, an elder of the Spirit Hall. Simple. Understated, quiet and elegant, Lingyuan, tall and graceful, stood before the window, arms crossed, her hand supporting a heavy weight that only added to her majesty. Her cold eyes gazed into the distance, tinged with a hint of sorrow. Who was she missing? Buzz, a figure materialized silently behind her, their eyes drawn to the graceful curve of her back. A warmth bloomed in their gaze, the figure stepped closer, wrapping their arms around the cold, elegant beauty from behind, greedily inhaling her delicate scent. "Who's there?" Lingyuan flinched, startled. She hadn't expected someone to be so bold as to sneak into the hall and make a move on her. Even more surprising, they'd gotten so close without her noticing. Either they were incredibly powerful, far surpassing her own strength, or they possessed unique martial arts or spirit skills. As a powerful title Douluo, her reaction was far from ideal, but her attacker was faster. Before she could resist, a terrifying force suppressed her spirit and energy. Like autumn wind scattering fallen leaves, then, a sharp blade pressed against her back, causing her to tremble and cry out in alarm. "Who are you? If you dare touch me, the spirit hall and the martial god won't let you get away with it. You can run to the ends of the earth, but you'll die." "Really?" Zhouyi chuckled softly, releasing his hold on Lingyuan, but Lingyuan didn't resist. Gasping, she collapsed into Zhouyi's arms. Shaken, she turned, fixing him with a resentful stare. "You little devil, you scared me half to death." Then, a charming smile bloomed on her face, oozing mature allure. "Little devil? Was he that young?" Zhouyi playfully slapped her backside, a mischievous grin on his face. "I'm not that young, am I?" "Ouch!" Lingyuan cried out, a sound that made Zhouyi's heart skip a beat. Her eyes were full of reproach. "If I wasn't worried about scaring you, I wouldn't have held that sword to your back, you know." Zhouyi scoffed. "I should just go ahead and off you right now. You're such a tease. All you do is pick on me." Lingyuan rolled her eyes. Earlier, Zhouyi had masked his aura, disguising himself. She genuinely hadn't recognized him. If Zhouyi had taken advantage of her, unthinkable. Seeing Lingyuan's increasingly alarmed expression, Zhouyi quickly changed the subject. "How could I ever want to pick on you? I pulled out all the stops just to marry you." Hearing this, the resentment in Lingyuan's eyes transformed into deep affection. You didn't need to go to such lengths for me. I want to marry you, and the Pope can't stop me. It's nothing, just half a golden bell jar." Zhouyi gently stroked her cheek, speaking tenderly. "The Pope can't stop me from marrying you, but if I fall out with him, it'll sour things for everyone, and your wedding won't be as perfect. Half the golden bell jar can make everyone happy and give you a perfect wedding. I'd give up the whole thing, if I had to." Qian Xunji, so happy for your sister, star. Why are you so good to me? Lingyuan was deeply moved. Though she was a title Douluo, her potential had long been exhausted, and she couldn't compare to Zhouyi. She was also much older, she was practically ancient. "I like you. Do I need a reason?" Zhouyi smiled. "True love might be fleeting, but a few tricks can capture the heart." Half golden bell jar. "Ha ha ha, who says I'm useless? I've done good again, star." Zhouyi gazed into Lingyuan's beautiful, emotional eyes, his fingers tracing across her smooth, pale cheek until they reached. "Did you miss me?" "Yes." Lingyuan paid no mind to Zhouyi's wandering hands, completely engrossed in her emotions. "What were you thinking about?" Zhouyi teased. "I hate you." Lingyuan gave Zhouyi a seductive glare, tightening her legs. Such a little devil, he always knew how to tease her. The view here was undeniably beautiful. Lingyuan's trembling hands gripped the windowsill tightly, nervously scanning the landscape, afraid someone would appear and spoil the view. Zhouyi had already left the spirit hall, and he was sneaking back in now, naturally worried about being discovered, but for the sake of this beautiful vista, he was willing to hide behind Lingyuan and watch. Enjoying the scenery of the spirit hall together, Papal Palace, Qian Xunji retired to bed early. Fuming after being tricked by Zhouyi, unable to vent his anger on his target, Qian Xunji had no choice but to take it out on the weak. This was bad news for Bai Shui, the spirit hall's prospective saintess. She had hoped that after Bibi Dong married Zhouyi, she might have a chance to become the official saintess. When Qian Xunji summoned her tonight, she thought he was going to take her as his disciple. She was full of anticipation, but, not quite, she might not be a saintess, but becoming the Pope's wife wouldn't be a bad consolation prize. Still, this was fast. Bai Shui was a little surprised. The Pope was definitely angry. Was this all there was? A storm in a teacup? You're not a cheat. Zhou Yi, enjoying himself, kept a close eye on his surroundings. Qian Xunji's palace, not far away, was well within his range of observation. He had hoped for a live show. Was this the end result? No wonder Dong'er killed him in the original story. If it were him, Dong'er would have been his a long time ago. He had Shimen Qing's wealth and status, but he inherited Wu Dalong's weakness. How pathetic, a recipe for becoming Wu Dalong. The night passed, and dawn broke. Your stamina is incredible. I can barely keep up. Lingyuan, nestled softly in Zhou Yi's arms, traced his muscles with a captivated touch. Only by experiencing it firsthand could one truly appreciate the intoxicating strength that left her wanting more. Like a small boat tossed in the waves, Zhou Yi, fueled by passion, held her close. You like it? More than that. Since meeting you, I've finally understood the meaning of life. Lingyuan's eyes shone with a watery brightness, her every smile radiating captivating charm. It's getting late. Let's go another round. Zhou Yi smiled faintly. Lingyuan might not be the most beautiful of his women, but her mature, sensual style was unforgettable. Mid-morning, Zhou Yi watched Lingyuan, sound asleep, then quietly slipped away and disappeared from the spirit hall. At the same time, news of Lingyuan Douluo's upcoming marriage to Zhou Yi, the titled Douluo and spirit hall elder, spread like wildfire throughout the Soul Master world. What? The martial god is marrying Lingyuan Douluo, an elder of the spirit hall. Is that true? Holy crap. It's only been a month. Zhou Yi just married a saintess, and now he's marrying a spirit hall elder. She's a titled Douluo. Good heavens, the god of war is getting married again. Chapter 85 Poseidon Douluo Bo Saixi, don't come over, please vote. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Can you believe it? The god of war's getting hitched again. That the news that Zhou Yi was marrying Lingyuan Douluo, an elder from the spirit hall, spread like wildfire across the continent, causing a huge stir. Spirit hall elders and titled Douluos were the absolute elite of the Soul Master world, continent-wide, including those in hiding. You probably couldn't even gather 100 of them. That's how high their status and prestige were. And now, she's marrying Zhou Yi, and it's after Zhou Yi's already married 6 wives. Seriously impressive. Martial god Douluo is a legend. Marrying the spirit hall's saint was crazy enough, but now he's snagged a titled Douluo elder. Does the god of war have some kind of superpower or something? Martial god Douluo can build an entire city single-handedly. A titled Douluo can only unleash their most powerful soul skill once before they're drained. But martial god Douluo can use his skills endlessly. Like he said, they're infinite. He can keep fighting until he literally drops dead from old age. That's how powerful he is. Yeah, with the god of war Douluo's strength, he could take on 10 of them, no problem. 10. I think martial god Douluo could fight 100. Let's head to Notting City for the god of war's wedding. As the news exploded, soul masters flocked to Notting City. Every hotel and inn that Zhou Yi owned was packed solid. Business was booming, especially Zhou Yi's massive, 800-meter-high martial god city which blew the minds of all soul masters, inspiring countless people. They were even more passionate about martial arts, so every soul master who could afford it was heading to Zhou Yi's wedding. It was a golden opportunity, a way to hit the big time. He's marrying a spirit hall elder, again. Did Zhou Yi make some kind of deal with the spirit hall? Compared to the excitement of the average soul master, major powers like the Haotian sect, the Qiandaoliu Empire, and the Star Luo Empire were shocked and confused. They smelled a conspiracy, but Zhou Yi's power, the creation of martial god city, had already demonstrated it. With his strength and endless skills, not even a million-strong army could stand against him, so even if they suspected something, they didn't dare to do anything rash. They had to attend the wedding and bring a hefty gift. Of course, they could also use this chance to see if Zhouyi was completely in the spirit hall's pocket. The entire world was buzzing, Nodding City was going wild. The sheer popularity Zhouyi generated not only made his hotels and inns a fortune but also boosted Nodding City's economy. Thanks to Zhouyi, the residents of Nodding City were rolling in it. April 15th. Yi Huayuan, Soul Masters crowded the place. Emperor Shui of the Qiandaoliu Empire and Emperor Dai Jinba of the Star Luo Empire arrived. Again, they really didn't want to be there, but Zhou Yi had basically become the uncrowned king of the Douluo continent. He was at the top of the heap, and there was no one who could knock him off, and now Zhou Yi was marrying a powerful title Douluo. How could they not show up? If they didn't, Zhou Yi would think they were being disrespectful and make their lives a living hell. That would be a disaster. So, Yi Huayuan was once again the meeting place for the continent's top players. The wedding itself was ridiculously extravagant, just as big as when he married Bibi Dong. The red bridal decoration stretched for miles outside Nodding City. The martial gods really, I feel like all I've been doing lately is either attending a wedding or on my way to one. Tang Hao grabbed a bottle of wine and took a swig. He realized it all started when he attended the wedding of his goddess, Ayin. Zhou Yi's marriage spree never stopped. All I can say is, wow. Tang Zhao's voice was low and full of emotion. When they first met, Zhou Yi was getting chased by the nether blood wolf, in terrible shape. They hadn't taken Zhou Yi seriously at all. If it hadn't been for getting to know their goddess, Ayin, they wouldn't have given Zhou Yi a second thought. But how long ago was that? Times had changed. Their goddess had become Zhou Yi's wife and given birth to his daughter. Now Zhou Yi had surpassed their grandfather, Tang Chen, and become the best in the world, and now he was married to 6 or 7 gorgeous women, and now even a titled Douluo was marrying into his family. They were not on the same planet as Zhou Yi anymore. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tang Yuehua was counting on her fingers. Yuehua, what are you counting? Tang Xiao asked, confused. Nothing. Tang Yuehua ignored them and kept counting. 6, 7. She realized that Zhou Yi had married 7 wives now. She'd be lucky to be 8th on the list. She had a feeling if she waited any longer, she might not even crack the top 10. Night fell. Zhou Yi entered the bridal chamber, filled with anticipation. The room was warm and inviting, bathed in the red glow of candlelight, creating a festive, intimate, and alluring atmosphere. Next to the bed, Lingyuan, dressed in a bright red gown and wearing a red veil, sat nervously with her hands on her lap. Zhou Yi lifted the red veil. A beautiful face, flushed with happiness, appeared before him. Husband. Lingyuan was full of love, shyly repeating the word husband, almost making Zhou Yi explode. Lingyuan. Zhou Yi's heart was on fire. He gazed at Lingyuan's exquisite face and said softly, "You're so beautiful." He grabbed a glass of wine and offered it to Lingyuan. They both drank. Crash. Zhou Yi tossed the wine glass aside and swept the beautiful woman into his arms. Even though they'd done this countless times before, tonight felt special. Zhou Yi was more than ready. The night was still and the stars twinkled. The moon hid behind the clouds, as if shyly averting its gaze. Experience +1. Experience +1. Experience +1. Inside the wedding chamber, the flames of the red dragon and phoenix candles flickered, the melted wax dripping like tears. It was a long and romantic night. The next day, the sun was high in the sky. Zhou Yi gazed at the beauty asleep in his arms, her delicate face flushed and alluring, with tears still glistening in the corners of her eyes. Stirring his tenderness, he lowered his head and kissed her gently, careful not to disturb her. He carefully set Lingyuan aside and slipped away. Lingyuan stirred in her sleep. She looked at Zhou Yi's retreating figure with blurred eyes, her heart filled with happiness and contentment. She quickly drifted back to sleep. After Zhou Yi freshened up and ate breakfast, he met with Tang Chen. Tang Chen tentatively asked Zhou Yi if he knew anything about the gods. Because there was no way to inherit their power, Tang Chen had heard countless legends about the gods, but he'd never actually seen one, and wasn't sure if they even existed. But there's no smoke without fire. It was likely gods were real, they were just out of reach. Zhou Yi didn't tell Tang Hao about the gods, which disappointed Tang Chen. Brother Zhou, I've heard the lands overseas are incredibly mysterious. Brother Qian and I are planning a trip there. I was wondering if you'd be interested in joining us. Tang Chen asked casually. The ocean was bigger than the continents, and the sea spirit beasts were even more fearsome, and the unknown was always frightening. Even though he was confident in his strength, his power was limited in the ocean. Qiandaoliu's angel spirit could fly, in the vast ocean. That would be more of an advantage than he had, even though he could fly too. His speed and combat power would be limited. He didn't entirely trust Qiandaoliu. He called Zhou Yi. The three of them could keep each other in check and watch each other's backs. Overseas, the image of a beautiful and elegant woman flashed through Zhou Yi's mind, and he said with great interest, "I'm actually curious about it too. Let's go together." "Great, P.S., Bo Saixi, don't come over." Zhou Yi, haha, here I come. Bo Saixi, give me the votes first. Chapter 86. Arriving at Poseidon Island, demonic great white shark Xiaobai, please vote for me. You are listening at novelfull.audio. April 20th. Sunny, Zhouyi gently eased himself away from Bibi Dong, her cheeks flushed in her sleep. Today was the day he and Tang Chen were supposed to head overseas together. He'd already taken care of everything back home. Xiao Wu, Yan Ro, and Lingyuan were all titled Douluos, along with Deming and Ming, his two super-powered bodyguards, plus the many precautions Zhou Yi had put in place. Zhou Manor was practically impenetrable. Deming and Ming, especially, had been mastering the Golden Bell shield at an incredible rate. Even though their cultivation level hadn't improved, their fighting ability was getting better every day. Even if the Spirit Hall attacked, Zhou Manor could hold them off now. Besides, that wasn't likely to happen. Leaving the manor, Zhou Yi headed straight for Hanhai City. Hanhai City was the only port city on the empire's west coast, built right on the water. If you wanted to sail, you usually had to go there. Zhou Yi was fast, using the immortal steps. He was moving faster than the speed of sound. Before long, Hanhai City, the largest city on the Qiando Empire's western frontier and the largest seaside port on the Douluo continent, came into view. The massive city was built along the sea, and nothing, not even the highest tide, could shake it. The thick city walls were as strong as those of the main city. Even before Zhou Yi arrived, he could already catch a faint whiff of salt in the air, the smell of the sea. Zhou Yi went straight to the port. A large ship provided by the Spirit Hall was already waiting. When Zhou Yi arrived, he saw Tang Chen and Qiandaoliu, who had been there for a while. "Brother Tang, Brother Qian, sorry to keep you waiting." Zhou Yi greeted them. What could he say? Dong'er was just too captivating, hard to pull away from, so, being a little late was understandable. Tang Chen and Qiandaoliu didn't mind. Zhou Yi was the family man now, especially since he'd married so many beautiful wives. He probably had his hands full. While they were important figures in the Clear Sky School and the Spirit Hall, they'd both taken a step back and didn't get involved much anymore. They had plenty of free time. Now that Brother Zhou's here, let's get going. Qiandaoliu led Zhou Yi and Tang Chen onto the ship and into a luxurious suite, where a maid served them tea. "How much does Brother Zhou know about overseas countries?" Qiandaoliu asked Zhou Yi. Zhou Yi might be young and not have much experience, but he was also full of surprises and might know more than they thought. "I don't know much about it. I've heard there's a sea god island, full of spirit masters who all worship the sea god." Zhou Yi shook his head casually. "But I don't know the details." "Brother Zhou already knows quite a bit," Tang Chen interjected. "I've only heard a few things about Sea God Island myself, and I don't know much about it either. The Spirit Hall sent people to try and take it over a while back, but they took a beating. Sea God Island's the first place we're heading." "Sounds good to me. I'm curious about it." Zhou Yi nodded, keeping his expression calm, but he'd already guessed they were going to Sea God Island. He also knew that a level 99 peerless Douluo, Sea God Douluo Bo Saixi, was on the island. He even knew those two weren't fooling anyone. Their grandkids were all grown up, and they were still chasing after beautiful women. Could those old bones even handle it? So, this time, Zhou Yi was going to Sea God Island with them, partly to keep an eye on the two old guys. Sea God Douluo Bo Saixi, she was playing a dangerous game. They couldn't handle it. They'd get in over their heads. As the saying goes, if I don't go to hell, who will? "Leave it to me. I wonder if that sea god is a real god." Qiandaoliu's eyes were full of curiosity and a longing for godhood. His current cultivation level had reached its limit. The only way to go further was to become a god, especially since Zhou Yi was putting so much pressure on him. Only by becoming a god could he hope to defeat Zhou Yi. Too bad the angel god's inheritance test he was protecting had failed. He'd probably never get another chance. Basically, he had no hope of becoming a god. However, Zhou Yi's martial arts had given him new ideas, and he might be able to find another path to godhood. Probably not a real god. Tang Chen shook his head. I'm guessing the sea god they're talking about is just a powerful tidal Douluo. Zhouyi looked out the window and saw that the ship had left the port and was sailing into the open sea. The sea breeze blew in his face, carrying the salty scent of the ocean. The sea was unlike any other landscape. If you've never been to sea, you can't truly grasp its majesty. The endless ocean stretched out before them, water and sky meeting in the distance. The sun was slowly rising in the east, lighting up the waves with a sparkling glow. Is this Brother Zhou's first time at sea? Tang Chen was also looking out the window. He'd never been overseas either. Yeah, Zhouyi nodded slightly. He'd never been out on the ocean in his past life. At most, he'd been to the beach. At this ship speed, we should reach the Sea God Island area in 6 or 7 days, Qiandaoliu said. Zhouyi nodded. In the original story, Tang San and his group had taken about 10 days, but the boat they'd rented was nothing compared to this Spirit Hall ship. It was much slower. Zhouyi wasn't in a hurry, but there were no beauties on board, which made things a little dull. He was used to having the best of everything, and now it was gone. He was definitely feeling it. According to the reports, this area is known for soul beast activity. We should be careful. There are a lot of soul beasts in the ocean, and they're very strong. Especially since they have the home advantage, it can be hard to deal with them. Qiandaoliu told them, since he was going to Sea God Island, and the Spirit Hall had fought them before, Qiandaoliu knew the area well. If we run into a powerful soul beast, how are we going to handle it? Tang Chen asked, suddenly serious. He was a landlubber. He was at a huge disadvantage in the ocean. On land, he feared no one. Zhou Yi didn't care. He could fly straight to Sea God Island. Plus, his water, fire, and golden bell skills let him fight at full strength in the water. Generally speaking, spirit beasts rarely attack ships. Only a few extremely aggressive spirit beasts have been known to actively attack ships. So, as long as we don't provoke the soul beasts, we should be fine. If we do run into those particularly powerful and bad-tempered soul beasts, we'll have to do our best to protect the ship and find a way to drive them off, Qiandaoliu said calmly. But the route we're taking has been traveled many times before. It avoids the areas where the strongest soul beasts live, so we shouldn't run into any. Tang Chen felt a little uneasy. It would be a problem if the ship was destroyed by a spirit beast. The sea was endless. Even though he could fly, he couldn't fly very far. They couldn't let the spirit beast destroy the ship. Time flew by. 6 days passed in the blink of an eye. Tang Chen was on guard the whole time, but nothing happened. Zhouyi spent 6 days relaxing, like he was on vacation. After all, the talented are bold. Soon, Sea God Island came into view. Looks like I'm not jinxed after all. Nothing went wrong on the way. Zhouyi stretched, stood up, and went to the bow, looking at Sea God Island in the distance. We've finally arrived at Sea God Island. Tang Chen stood next to Zhouyi, looking at the massive island in the distance, finally feeling relieved. Even if the boat sank now, he could still fly to the island, and once he was on the island, standing on solid ground, he was fearless. But he didn't notice, in the deep sea, a white shark over 20 meters long with beautiful lines was swimming quickly at an alarming speed. White shark, Zhouyi sensed it immediately, and a thought crossed his mind. Looks like the first 100,000-year soul beast, sea gods mount back in the day, the demon soul great white shark, Xiaobai. Chapter 87, Scared demon soul great white shark, don't come here, Lord Poseidon, save me, please VOT. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Is that Poseidon Island? Qiandaoliu, seeing it for the first time, stood next to Tang Chen, gazing at the distance. Just as they were both focused on Poseidon Island, the air around the ship shimmered. Suddenly, a violent tremor shook them, and a deafening roar sent them and the ship flying. Trouble. Sea beast. Tang Chen and Qiandaoliu, though startled, didn't panic. As level 99 powerhouses, they were more than capable. Their immense spirit power surged, stabilizing them in the air as dazzling spirit rings appeared. Tang Chen already gripped a massive hammer, the Haotian hammer, the most powerful weapon on the continent. A golden figure materialized behind Qiandaoliu, the seraphim, a god-level spirit. Only Zhou Yi remained calm. As the ship capsized, he floated into the air, weightless and graceful, hands clasped behind his back. He watched with amusement. The ship splintered into pieces from the force of the impact, revealing the culprit in the churning water. A huge white shark, like a ghost of the sea, darted past, vanishing into the depths. The shark, over 20 meters long, possessed a streamlined body, gleaming white skin, and incredible speed. It left strange ripples in its wake. "It's the demonic great white shark," Qiandaoliu, watching the shark disappear, said gravely. "Legend says a pack of these sharks lives around Poseidon Island, led by a 100,000-year-old demonic great white shark king, guarding the island. Any ship entering their territory is immediately attacked. Demonic great white sharks are the most vicious sharks, apex predators of the ocean, known for their aggression. Even a 1,000-year-old demon shark can rival a 10,000-year sea spirit beast. Why didn't you warn us?" Tang Chen grumbled. "Wuhuan Palace's ship wasn't attacked before, so I didn't think much of it. Besides, that information came from local sea spirit masters, who knows how reliable it is," Qiandaoliu protested. "They just got lucky," Zhou Yi said casually. "The sharks have huge appetites, and with so many people living here, they hunt in cycles led by the 100,000-year-old king. Wuhuan Palace probably just missed them." Before he could finish, the demonic great white shark king burst from the waves, its massive tail swinging at Tang Chen and Qiandaoliu with earth-shattering force. Qiandaoliu transformed into a beam of light, dodging the blow. Tang Chen wasn't nimble enough in the air to evade it. Instead, he met it head-on. A hammer blow landed, boom. The weight of the hammer was like a mountain, sending the demonic great white shark king tumbling back into the sea, but the force also sent Tang Chen flying. It was hard to stay grounded in the air. "You guys head to Poseidon Island, I'll go play with it," Zhou Yi, who had been watching, suddenly spoke. He had been far enough away from the sea that the shark didn't target him first. With that, Zhou Yi plunged into the ocean. "Brother Zhou," Tang Chen exclaimed, shocked that Zhou Yi would attack the king, a 100,000-year soul beast, in its own element. He couldn't possibly win underwater. "Brother Zhou is so brave and talented," Qiandaoliu sighed, secretly awed. "It seems Zhou Yi's golden bell really is impervious to water and fire, and even works underwater. Otherwise, he'd never dare fight the shark. Brother Tang, if Brother Zhou's confident, we should go to Poseidon Island first." Qiandaoliu flew toward the island. "Right," Tang Chen followed. His spirit couldn't fly, relying on sheer spirit power to stay aloft, and he felt vulnerable over the sea. Poseidon Island seemed safer. By the time they reached the island, Zhou Yi was already underwater. The 13 levels of the water and fire golden bell granted him control over the elements, allowing him to move freely. The water didn't feel oppressive, but rather like an extension of himself. The water behind him churned violently as the demonic great white shark king charged, jaws wide open. This stupid human has a death wish. I might not be able to touch him in the air, but he's mine in the sea. The demon soul great white shark king was disdainful. The earlier blow from Tang Chen made her wary of him. Zhou Yi was Tang Chen's equal, so he was equally dangerous. "This shark is pretty fierce." Zhou Yi turned to face the gaping jaws, completely calm. He reached out and pressed on the shark's upper jaw. The upper jaw extended further than the lower one. With this simple move, the demon soul great white shark king couldn't bite him. Was it that easy? Apparently, it was. The demon soul great white shark king's eyes glazed over, its tiny brain short-circuiting. Who am I? Where am I? Am I dreaming? This tiny human is holding my face. I'm the ferocious demonic great white shark, the king of great whites, 100,000-year soul beast. My charge can make even a tidal Douluo break a sweat, if not choke on their own blood, and Zhou Yi holds my face underwater and doesn't even take a step back. Is that a human? With your mouth open so wide, you look scary and ugly. Zhou Yi glanced at the bewildered shark, then his left hand grabbed its chin, the lower jaw, using both hands now, he closed the shark's jaws. Ah! Monster! Xiaobai, the demon soul great white shark king, freaked out, whipping its head around and fleeing. It was over 20 meters long, but extremely fast. Its streamlined body slipped through the water like a ghost, disappearing in an instant. Sharky, where do you think you're going? Zhouyi smiled, raising his right hand. Come, water. Whoosh. The sea water swirled, forming a water dragon at Zhouyi's feet. Roar. The water dragon roared, carrying Zhouyi after Xiaobai, the great white shark king. What a monster! How can a human be so strong? Good thing I'm fast. Humph, even that hateful deep-sea demonic whale king can't catch me in the sea. Xiaobai was smug, speed was her pride, she was the fastest in the sea, nothing beat it, no one, beast or human, could match it. Xiaobai, where are you off to? The playful voice made the shark king's heart leap. She slowly turned her head. Zhouyi was casually riding a water dragon next to her, his eyes narrowed in amusement, like a cat toying with a mouse. At that moment, Xiaobai felt the whole fish shaking. Ah, stay away from me. Terrified, Xiaobai raced towards Poseidon Island, screaming, Lord Poseidon, save me. P.S. Zhouyi, you can leave if you want, but keep your ticket. Countless votes fell from the sky. Zhouyi died. Chapter 88 Bo Saixi's Amazing Beauty. Qiandaoliu, I want to create an angel god, please vote for me. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Poseidon, help me. The demon soul great white shark king, huge as it was, bolted through the water like a scared rabbit. Huh, scream all you want. Nobody's coming. Zhouyi, perched on its back like some mischievous devil, was having the time of his life. Guess it's true what they say, guys never really grow up. Get off me. The demon soul great white shark king, Xiaobai, thrashed around, its sleek body twisting wildly as it tried to buck Zhouyi. Soul power surged, hoping to shake him off. Magic shark realm, it manipulated the surrounding water, boosting its own power and trying to pin Zhouyi down. Wave of despair, a mental attack, aimed at shattering Zhouyi's consciousness, but Zhouyi was glued on tight, legs clamped like a vice, hands gripping its head. It could roll and thrash all it wanted, he wasn't going anywhere, and its attacks, both physical and mental, were like throwing pebbles at a tank. Zhouyi's golden bell defense was impenetrable, not even by a top-tier Douluo. Now, with his mastery of the 13 levels, he was practically a god in this place, a creature from another world. Xiaobai, despite being the 100,000-year-old demon soul great white shark king, was outmatched. They weren't even in the same league, in every aspect, cultivation, physique, mental fortitude. Zhouyi had him beat, a total mismatch. Is that all you got? Feels like a massage. Zhouyi chuckled. Come on, show me what else you got. Damn you. Xiaobai shot across the ocean like a torpedo, but Zhouyi was just getting more pumped. This was way better than surfing. Xiaobai leaped out of the water, dove deep into the seabed, plunged down to 10,000 meters. It pulled out all the stops, but Zhouyi was stuck like glue. Then, it made a beeline for Poseidon Island. Suddenly, a swarm of demon soul great white sharks closed in, trying to tear Zhouyi apart. Whoosh! 2 water dragons materialized around Zhouyi, spinning in opposite directions like a Tai Chi symbol, churning the water. The sharks were blasted away before they could even get close. Hey, Xiaobai, be cool and let me ride for a bit. Zhouyi patted the shark's head, grinning. Or I might have to rough you up a little. Don't say I didn't warn you. Xiaobai, the demon soul great white shark king, was being called Xiaobai by even Poseidon, the sea god himself, used to call him that. Damn humans! I will not yield. Xiaobai roared, and the other demon soul great white sharks backed off, stopping their pointless attacks. Xiaobai knew they couldn't even touch Zhouyi. At least Zhouyi didn't seem to be trying to kill anyone, otherwise, things could get ugly. Meanwhile, Qiandaoliu and Tang Chen had also arrived at Poseidon Island. they were immediately met with resistance from the island's elite soul masters, 7 titled Douluos, the guardians of the 7 sacred pillars. Their leader, Dragon Douluo, was a level 95 powerhouse with the Sea Dragon martial soul, a force to be reckoned with, but they were no match for Tang Chen and Qiandaoliu, both at level 99. It was a massacre. Suddenly, a white figure erupted from the sea, with a handsome young man riding on its back, Xiaobai and Zhou Yi. He actually captured the 100,000-year demon soul Great White Shark King alive. Qiandaoliu and Tang Chen stared in disbelief. Hey, oh. Zhou Yi raised his hand to wave, but then he saw someone flying toward him. A mermaid. Zhou Yi's eyes lit up, and he reached out, catching the Sea Witch Douluo who'd just been hammered by Tang Chen. The Sea Witch Douluo, one of the 7 guardians of Poseidon Island and the ruler of Sea Witch City. She was a mermaid, half human, half sea spirit beast. Zhou Yi held her close, taking her in. She was young, with a magnificent fishtail that curved all the way to her waist. She wore a small black top that barely covered anything. Her sky-blue eyes, brighter than the sea, held a constant smile. She was stunning. Her blue eyes stared back at Zhou Yi with curiosity. She had never seen such a handsome man. Insolence, a majestic voice echoed, seeming to come from the heavens. Beautiful and sweet, yet filled with authority and holiness. Poseidon Island is not a place for your arrogance. The voice grew louder with each word. A spot of red light appeared in the distance, growing larger. The air shimmered. Then, a woman stood before Qiandaoliu and Tang Chen, about the same height as Ayin. She wore a bright red robe, long sea-blue hair cascaded down her back, almost reaching the ground. Her face was smooth, making her appear no older than 30. Her beauty came from her grace, her elegance, her nobility. In her hand, she held a 3-meter scepter, golden, engraved with magic patterns, topped with a rhombus-shaped spearhead. Just below the tip, a diamond-shaped golden gem glittered. She was breathtaking, but her aura surpassed everything. Even Ayin and Bibi Dong couldn't compare. Her eyes were the most striking. Clear blue, deeper than the ocean, as if they'd seen eternity. She was far older than she looked. What a sight! Tang Chen and Qiandaoliu were speechless. Legends of the Soul Master World. 1. The Qian Douluo who led the Qian sect to glory. The other, the Grand High Priest of the Spirit Hall. They had seen countless beauties, but Bo Saixi had stirred something within them. It wasn't just her beauty, but her all-encompassing presence. With their power, they could have any woman they wanted, but Bo Saixi was different. I have to rely on myself. I must complete the angel god's trial. Qiandaoliu, seeing Bo Saixi, felt young again. He was smitten, and with Bo Saixi's strength, their child would be blessed, the perfect candidate to inherit the angel god's throne. Qiandaoliu's blood boiled. This was his chance to crush Zhou Yi. He thought, I must have her. Chapter 89 Zhouyi, let's make a bet and put our lives on the line. 3rd update, please vote for me. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The High Priest is here. Sea Dragon Douluo, wounded as he was, scrambled to his feet, bowed slightly to Bo Saixi, and said, shamefaced, I failed to stop the invaders. I await your punishment, High Priest. His eyes were full of awe and adoration as he gazed at Bo Saixi. To him, she was an enigma, a true embodiment of the ocean itself. With Bo Saixi guarding Poseidon Island, neither the powerful 100,000-year soul beasts of the sea nor the soul masters from the mainland dared to disrespect Poseidon's domain and its protected paradise. She really lives up to the title of strongest female soul master on the continent. What striking beauty! That anime version doesn't do her justice. Zhou Yi's eyes lit up the moment he saw Bo Saixi. He'd heard she was unfathomable, like a vast ocean. Zhou Yi was determined to find out for himself. He'd know soon enough. Anyway, he had set his sights on Bo Saixi. The High Priest is here. Sea Spear Douluo, Sea Vanity Douluo, Sea Horse Douluo, Sea Ghost Douluo, Sea Star Douluo, and Sea Lady Douluo, still held by Zhou Yi, seemed to perk up at the sight. They struggled to their feet, bowed, and said with guilt, we failed to stop the invaders. We await your punishment, High Priest. Bo Saixi smiled slightly, and her smile seemed to ripple through the sea itself. It's not your fault. These two are beyond your abilities. Her gaze swept across everyone. making them feel as though she was looking directly at them. Finally, Bo Saixi's eyes settled on Zhou Yi. He was, after all, riding on Xiaobai's back, trying to keep a low profile. "Don't worry, Xiaobai is fine." Zhou Yi smiled at Bo Saixi, reached out to pat Xiaobai's head, and said, "I'm just here for the show. Those two are the troublemakers, so you should deal with them first." Tang Chen. Qiandaoliu. Snitch. Bo Saixi studied Zhou Yi intently. The fact that he could ride Xiaobai, and without hurting her, indicated that his strength was overwhelming. Perhaps he didn't harbor any ill intentions, but none of that mattered. Bo Saixi was confident she could handle any invaders on Poseidon Island. Since Zhouyi didn't want to fight, she wasn't going to force it. She'd deal with Tang Chen and Qiandaoliu first. After all, they had injured many of her soul masters, including 7 titled Douluo to varying degrees. "Were those soul masters who arrived earlier working for you?" Bo Saixi looked at Tang Chen and Qiandaoliu. "I am Tang Chen, from the Haotian sect." Tang Chen bowed and said, "Those soul masters you mentioned likely came from the spirit hall. This one is the high priest of the spirit hall." He pointed to Qiandaoliu. "Et2, brute. I am Qiandaoliu, the grand enshrinement of the spirit hall." "Greetings, high priest." Qiandaoliu bowed, smiled slightly, and said, "There seems to have been a misunderstanding. I meant no harm by coming here. I simply wanted to introduce myself. Though I've lived on Poseidon Island for a long time, the Haotian sect and the Spirit Hall have quite the reputation. Since I've met you both, perhaps you'd be willing to offer some guidance." Bo Saixi's deep blue eyes swept over Tang Chen and Qiandaoliu, and her calm, gentle voice held an undeniable edge. They had come to her Poseidon Island and injured her people, so a simple misunderstanding wouldn't suffice. She was going to make them pay. Qiandaoliu understood this as well and immediately stepped forward. "In that case, High Priest, I invite you to teach me." Despite his initial attraction to Bo Saixi, he wouldn't hold back. On the contrary, he would use his full strength to thoroughly defeat her and demonstrate his power, believing that was the way to win her over. Women, especially strong women like Bo Saixi, don't fall for simps, because they admire strength above all else. Boom! The battle erupted. The power unleashed by these two level 99 peerless Douluo was terrifying even to Sea Dragon Douluo, Sea Lady Douluo, and the other title Douluo, just too strong, just terrifying. Qiandaoliu's strength exceeded their wildest expectations, but they weren't worried, only filled with excitement. "The High Priest will crush these invaders." Xiaobai, still carrying Zhou Yi on her back, looked at Bo Saixi battling like a goddess of the sea. Her eyes were full of admiration as she said fiercely to Zhou Yi, "I have no doubt the High Priest can defeat Qiandaoliu and Tang Chen, but she has no chance against me." Zhou Yi rubbed Xiaobai's head and chuckled confidently, "Because I am invincible. Your High Priest will fall only to me." "Easy for you to say," Xiaobai retorted, unconvinced. "Just because you can beat me doesn't mean you can beat Bo Saixi. She's unbeatable here." Sea Lady Douluo, standing nearby, heard Zhou Yi and Xiaobai's exchange and glared at Zhou Yi with her beautiful blue eyes. "When you see the High Priest's true power, you won't say that again." "Really?" Zhou Yi smiled. "Wasn't Bo Saixi able to control the power of the sea? On Poseidon Island, Qiandaoliu and Tang Chen were simply outmatched, but was his strength on par with theirs? How about we make a bet?" Zhou Yi stroked Xiaobai's head, looked at Sea Lady Douluo's delicate face, and smiled. "The loser has to unconditionally fulfill a request from the winner. How does that sound?" "You're on." Xiaobai and Sea Lady Douluo didn't hesitate, looking at Zhou Yi with a sneer. "You're going to lose. The High Priest cannot lose." "We'll see." Zhou Yi smiled, calm and collected. "Just you wait. When you lose, I want you to be my mount for the rest of your life and let me ride you around on the sea every day," Xiaobai said fiercely. She was obviously still smarting from Zhou Yi riding her back. She wanted to return the favor. "Deal. If I lose, I'll be your ox or your horse for the rest of your days. Ride me all you want." Zhou Yi smiled and added, if you lose, you have to let me ride you for the rest of your life. I won't lose. The high priest won't lose. Both Xiaobai and Lady Douluo were confident in Bo Saixi's power, and they were right. In a way, if Zhou Yi weren't cheating, he probably couldn't defeat Bo Saixi on Poseidon Island, but he was. What's more, Zhou Yi was now at level 100, he could not lose. Zhouyi looked up at the battlefield on the coast. Huge waves surged across the sea, crashing down like a tsunami. It was a terrifying sight, as if the sea god himself were enraged. Standing atop the endless waves, beautiful and graceful, was Bo Saixi, holding her scepter and standing firm against the wind, looking every bit the ocean goddess. The Poseidon martial spirit stood behind her.